Hey all, please excuse the Ace Ventura boomy detective vibes I got going on, but I figured out how to do the 167k DPS sort of thing, and I'm gonna make it really easy for you with just 2 clicks. So let's get into it. So first off, if you don't understand the origins of this trick, then I recommend watching this video by Tettles. It's a really great video that goes into the origins, and we're gonna take it and just turn it upside down and make it go on crack. Like, it's just gonna take it to a next level. This video will differ from Tettles' video though, because we can constantly hit 30 plus stacks from the method that I'm gonna show you. And with this method, we're going to be taking advantage of gear swapping, drums, and IQD, all with a one-click macro right before the key timer starts. For those of you who are unfamiliar with PreKeystone Mechanics, let's go over a few things just so we're all on the same page. The first one is what I like to call the my meta thing, which is what demon hunters would famously call the my meta, because at 1 second before the dungeon, they would click their meta so that they would have a meta for the whole start of the dungeon, and then they would also be able to click meta again, because the keystone, when it's activated in the little thing, it resets 3+ minute cooldowns. The second thing is that if you click Ravenous Frenzy on top of already having Ravenous Frenzy, then it procs your Sinful Hysteria, and it freezes your stacks for a really long duration, longer than that 4-second Lego duration. I can sort of cheat this to show you in the Proving Grounds, because the Proving Grounds sort of acts as the same as starting a keystone. So right here, I clicked Ravenous Frenzy and I'm generating stacks with Remove Corruption, and I'm just generating stacks, and then I'm gonna quote unquote start a keystone right here. By start basic damage, just pretend I'm starting a keystone. And that's going to reset my Ravenous Frenzy. And then I'm going to click Ravenous Frenzy again. You see on my thing, I just clicked it, and now the stacks are stuck, even though I'm constantly clicking Remove Corruption. So by combining these 3 mechanics, we can essentially freeze our Ravenous Frenzy at 30 stacks for a really large damage window, and that's where we'll be spamming Starfires and Starfalls. So that sounds busted, right? And it pretty much is. And it sounds like really hard to pull off, right? But it's like really not. So let's just make sure that we have the proper gear, talents, and the macro setup before we get going. So first off, make sure your ideal equipment set that you want to run for the key is saved. You can name it whatever you want. I just have it as venth boom. You can name it anything. This will be important because we're going to put it into the macro later. Next, you want to equip something outside of your gear set to make sure your haste rating is above your mastery. I do that by swapping this ring right here. Notice how right now in my ideal gear set, my haste is 752 and my mastery is 772. But when I swap my ring, my haste becomes 811 and my mastery becomes 665. You only want this to be there for before the keystone. Okay, remember that. I accomplish this just by swapping that one ring. It doesn't matter what you swap, just as long as you got the haste above the mastery. For talents, the only thing we really need to do this is Heart of the Wild, so that way we don't run out of mana when spamming ourselves with our self casts to gain stacks. And here is the macro. I call it pre-key big butt, just because big button doesn't fit. These are the max amount of words that could fit. I didn't make this macro. I saw it on Gabezilla's stream, and I'm not sure if he made the macro, but it seems to be what a lot of these boomkins you're seeing that are doing a lot of damage also seem to be using. Let's just delve into the macro really quick so we understand why we have so much stuff in one button. So the first thing is we use drums just to lust ourselves. This is so that we can proc our IQD so that it not only lasts longer, but we force it to give us our highest stat, which would be haste. Because right before the key starts, we just geared to haste. This will ensure that we can spam ourselves as fast as possible and for as long as possible to ensure that we can get the highest amount of stacks before freezing the Ravenous. The next stuff is pretty simple. It's just CA, Ravenous, Berserking if you're a troll. If you're not a troll, you don't need Berserking. Use 13. That is the 13th gear slot. That's where my IQD is. If yours is down here, just do use 14. Cast at myself Innervate. That is just so you can innervate yourself for free mana. The last line is especially important. This is /equipset and then the name of the original equipset that we did. That part is especially important because it'll swap us back to our original gear that we want to run the dungeon with. When we click this button, it's going to run all this instantly. So we're going to lust, we're going to get our CA, we're going to get our Ravenous, we're going to get our Berserking, we're going to get our IQD, we're going to be innervated, and we're going to get our gear back. And then at that point we can just spam remove corruption, spam remove, spam remove, spam remove, over and over. So how do we pull this off? I have a VOD here of my group just doing a chill 23 hauls, and what I like to do is I like to click Heart of the Wild at 4 seconds before the pull timer goes to 0, and then I like to click the big butt macro at 1 second. And then at that point, I'm just spamming remove corruption. I'm just spamming like my life depends on it, as you'll see. So I target myself, I have my mouse ready for the 4 seconds on Heart of the Wild, click heart, and then at 1, I click my button and I'm just spamming remove corruption, spamming remove corruption. You can just see my casts in the bottom left, just spamming remove. And you can see my stacks are rising, and my haste is getting more. And just more haste, more remove corruption, letting them build up the pack. I probably could Moonfire here, but I'm just a little scared of aggro. I'm getting more remove corruption. I even go to 33 and I get a little greedy. And right there is when I clicked Ravenous, and then I also clicked CA and Berserking, and I'm now locked in at 33 stacks for the next 17 plus seconds. And I'm about to do just Starfires and Starfalls at 17 for the next 17 plus seconds at 33 stacks. So I dot everything. Unfortunately, I have to decurse myself. I proc my cube, I proc a pot, and I'm just trying to target the biggest HP thing while still casting. So I'm starfiring, and just keep it going. Unfortunately, I had to beam, and I had to cast trees coming up. I had to dodge swirly, had to cast trees, but it happens. I hit like 99.9k on this pull. It's pretty good. Pack gets rinsed. So in that clip, I only hit 99.9k. I didn't hit the big 160. I didn't hit the big 170. That's because I missed a lot of globals due to like decursing myself at the start, having to beam, having to trees, having to move out of a swirly. Also, our pull is smaller. The other pulls, they pull a bit bigger. They pull things from below, and I think they pull an extra pack as well. And I didn't have any PI, but even still, that is more damage than you would do with just a normal ramp without this method. So that's a lot of damage you can pull off. So here's where I'm just practicing the strategy more. And I was really trying to get it down, and I just joined some random pugs, and I even I did like a regrowth first, and this is just a pretty typical pug pull, and I still do a lot of damage with it. I think I hit like 95k on this one, so we'll just skip ahead a little bit. I dot and I immediately get aggro, which is not good, but I freeze at 30 stacks, which is still good. Right now I'm just spamming Starfires, and I get my dots on everything, and Starfall when I hit max, and my Starfall is about to fall off. I could have Starfalled right there. I'm missing it on 3 globals. That's bad, but I keep Starfiring, and I hit like, I think 93 or something, 92, 93. That's pretty good still for this little baby pug pull. Like, seems pretty good to me. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be leaving a link for Tettles's video, for Gapezilla's video. I'll be leaving the macro in the description, a little description of everything else too. You can watch me try to pull this off on my Twitch, and yeah, just good luck out there. It's really easy. Just click heart, click the macro, and you're good. So, see ya.